Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome back to another, I'm going to call it a top secret review, even though tonight, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be reviewing the Flying Buffalo Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes. I had never read this before, I'd never played this before, but to go along with the what is the greatest espionage role-playing game challenge I've set before myself this month, I thought I would give the makers of Tunnels and Trolls a look-see. Now this is the Kickstarter edition. It's the 3-in-1 book. I got it sealed, brand new, hardcover. Even has a built-in bookmark, which right off the bat, you gotta love that. People don't realize how much those little details really make for a quality product. Now, like I said, I had never read this before, and I don't even remember seeing it back in the day, but I know it's been around for a long time, and a lot of you folks out there in chat said, hey, you should try this one, this one's better, this one was our favorite, blah, blah, blah. I can see why a lot of people liked it. It's very, very much in line with the traditional 3D6, straight down the line sort of RPGs, and it takes a little bit of different approach to the idea of playing a mercenary, a spy, or a private eye. And as you folks know, I did a little bit of one of the aforementioned careers in the real world, so I thought, not to mention, let's go back and look at that cover again. You got Humphrey Bogart right there on the cover. Right off the bat, I'm going to be, somewhat partial to this. However, this I do not find as being the best. It does have some things that I wish other games would do, and mind you, I'm not done, so who knows, maybe Amazing Adventures or James Bond will do some of these things better. However, I'm pretty certain James Bond will not cover two of the things that I liked that this game did, and that was psionics and magic. And mind you, this isn't a full system of magic to throw into the game, those concepts, and mind you, they're not always appropriate for a espionage game. In a lot of cases, they're completely inappropriate. But right off the bat, I did like the way they handled a lot of things, and I liked the way they actually took sort of a pulpy approach to it right off the bat. Your character sheet's called a rap sheet. Trust me, that's funny on so many levels. The character creation system was pretty simple. I did not like the skill system. It's far too complex, or trying to be something other than everything that's already come before it, and all the tried and true methods of defining skills, having level, skills by your IQ 4 skills all the way to IQ 16 skills, going in 2-point increments, is just overly convoluted and unnecessary. Having prerequisites, I totally get that, and obviously they should have them, but if you've got an IQ of 4, even if that translates to a 40, you shouldn't have any skills. Sorry, folks. I hate to be elitist, but all the way up to IQ 16 skills. Okay, the martial arts and hand-to-hand combat, I really like the way they did the hand-to-hand combat. It's you derive your value of the attack versus the other guys, and the difference between the two determines who wins and how much the loser takes in damage. A very, very intuitive, quick system to determine and get your fights over quicker. And unless you want to draw them out like other games do, that's fine. If that's your thing, you can just spend more time in the narration of said combat round. The converse of that, though, is the shooting combat is a little too clunky. It works, but it's not what I would choose, not how I would do it. To this day, I still think Top Secret does shooting combat the best. You factor in all your negatives and see what you get, and then try to roll under that number to get a hit. And I've talked about Top Secret's combat before. This is more or less literally the mirror opposite, where their hand-to-hand combat in Top Secret was clunky. This is quick and intuitive, and Top Secret's projectile combat is perfect, and this one is just not something I would recommend because of that. Especially if you're going to be running a mercenary game, you're going to do a lot of shooting, and therefore you're going to need to, really get those rules down. And if you have to keep figuring it out and whatnot, it just doesn't make for a good experience. The psychic skills need more, but mind you, they put all of, I think, 2 pages to it. That's better than none, but severely lacking. If you're going to do it right, you need a little bit more. They tried to simplify it just in case. It's more of a tacked on thing. And mind you, a lot of pulp stories had a lot of the psychic abilities, not so much of the mystic stuff. But if you're going to go in that route, you're going to need a little more. Experience points. I like the way they calculate earning the experience points, but then what you do with them, it's a little wonky, but it works for this game. Then book 2 and book 3 are really where this book shined for me as a longtime referee of all games out there. Book 2 is called Intro to Scenario Design, Bad Guys and Beasties, Mercenary Missions, Spy Scenarios, The Art of Detection. All very, very good advice for beginners and even old hacks at it like me. I learned a thing or two, and if you don't, you're really doing something wrong with your life. Then law enforcement agencies, mind you, this is a little dated for 1983 and on up, and I think this book was actually printed in the late 2000s, like 2019 or something like that. But things have changed a lot in the modern world, but I assume most people are probably not going to be playing an espionage mercenary game in the 2020s. More than likely it's going to be in the 80s, maybe the 40s, 50s, 60s, that sort of thing. But it does go into some more pulpy aspects. Night Stalkers, Lost World, science fiction, horror, fantasy, pulp adventures, and sci-fi environments. All great ideas to consider adding to your game, depending on exactly where you're going with it. Would I use this in the near future? Probably not, just because this book is all you get, and when you're done, you've got a lot of work to make the game your own. If it had done better, it would have been nice to see more books, but I understand that this book is the compilation of all the supplements that ever came out for it. And espionage games, contemporary games, modern Earth games, even 1930s and 40s pulp era games really can only go so far before you are jumping the shark. And depending on your style, that can come at the very beginning of the game and you've got nowhere to go but down, or it can build up to it and then you're kind of done and spent with the entire idea of this sort of a campaign. So you got to be careful. Start out small and work your way up to it, to that big battle with the main nemesis. And more than likely you're going to call it quits at that juncture and want to go dive into something else. Now, book 3, Provisions and More. It's mostly your equipment guide, your catalog for all of the gear you're going to need. But it had one really neat thing in here that most games don't do. Let's see if I can find sample characters. 127. This was incredibly enjoyable, even if I disagree with some of the choices and some of the characters they decided to stat out. Of course, it has some classics like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, but it also has a bunch of characters that I'm not familiar with. Allard, Kevin Allard, no idea where that character came from. It would be nice if they would have said exactly what novels or TV show or radio show these characters came from. Philip Marlowe from the 1930s, Damon Crowley, Peter Johnson, Anna Stark, Merlin Bloodstone, Michael Hayden, Robin, Bob and Robin Hartwick, no idea who some of these are. 1880s, Professor Moriarty. Then it had a couple of character standees that were nice, but you really need to... oh, these weren't even standees. These were just small character portraits. Nice to add into your character sheet, but I tend to usually just use that for another place to put equipment or notes. Then another absolute must, which Top Secret could have benefited from this, was a suggested reading and references from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle to reference works, you know, Murder Inc., Shooter's Bible, Complete Machine Gun, Pistols and Revolvers, Small Arms of the World. I've already listed 4 books I already own right off the bat, but there was also a lot of fiction writers, Ian Fleming, James Clavell, Maxwell Grant, things like that. Absolute musts to really, you know, keep your story going, because as a referee, you need to have a constant source of inspiration, things you can borrow from and add to your own campaign to make it yours and to make it all that much more exciting. All in all, this is not a bad book. If you want a one book and you want a hardback version of an espionage game, this is not bad. Would I give it a 10 out of 10? No. Probably more like a 7, which is still not bad. And you know, obviously there's a lot of old time fans of this game out there. I'd really like to hear why it was this game that you picked over some of the other choices that have come up. You know, James Bond, Top Secret, Amazing Adventures, things like that. You know, going all the way from the very beginning of the role-playing hobby up to current. What is your favorite? And you know, like I said, if this was your favorite, please let me know, because I don't not get it, but I don't get it at the same time. If that makes any sense. I really, well, it's a mystery to me. So maybe you can help solve the mystery and help me figure out why I should keep this one in my collection and not just, you know, hand it off to someone who'd be more appreciative of it, because I'm pretty certain I'll probably never, you know, even pick it up again. It just didn't wow me like Top Secret does in so many ways. The simplicity. It seems like it's trying to be everything but the games that are out there, and anytime a writer does that, they risk becoming something that's unrecognizable and essentially unusable by the general public of gamers out there. So that's all I got for you tonight. I will be back hopefully before Friday with another Top Secret review. Excuse me. So until next time, folks, have a great evening, have a great weekend, and we love you. And until next time, happy trails.